I couldn't stop the plan. Even though I was at a point where I should have stopped the plan, I was so stubborn in my decision that I did not want to let go of this thing because it felt like my only way out. It felt like my only chance at upward mobility. It felt like the only thing I had going for me. And it was in that moment that I realized, oh, I am my father's daughter. I am home now after my year studying abroad, and life still continues to be a psychological thriller. You would think that after turning 26, I'd have it all figured out, but you know, maybe that's the thing. Maybe I'm not going to have it figured out until I'm at least 30. I pray that I at least have it figured out by 30. Something's gotta give. I have been gone for a very long time. I was away studying and I was also away crashing out. That was the life that I was leading. Go to school, come back to my accommodations, and then crash out and then go back to class. It was a cycle. But now that is over. I am home, or rather in my new home. I recently moved with my family. I have been sleeping on a hard vinyl floor for an entire month, so it is no surprise that I also have back pain. I've lost the pen to my journal, and what better way to discuss the pain of ambition than just by ranting and rambling. I really wanted to discuss the idea of surviving your worst year and the concept of ambition and losing sight of the goal, because I think that is something that I'm currently struggling with, especially when it comes to striving for bigger things and achieving this larger than life dream that I have. I guess the best place to start would be the beginning, or close to the beginning. About 2 years ago, I had what one can describe as a magnum opus level crash out. It was one of the lowest periods of my life. I was extremely lonely. I was living paycheck to paycheck despite working 2 jobs. And at that point, I couldn't even fathom attending graduation. I was extremely burnt out, and I had spent a large portion of my life trying to complete an undergrad degree that I was losing hope in. I developed this overwhelming urge to run, not necessarily towards something, but to just get out, to be free, because at that point I truly felt like I would rather jump off a cliff than feel backed into a corner, just to feel some semblance of freedom. At the time, I was nearing the end of my undergraduate degree. I had spent nearly 6 years of my life dedicated to this degree, to finishing school, to making my parents proud, and living in this city that I had begun to resent. And things started to feel suffocating. The scales were tilting, and I just knew that it was time to get out. The bad was beginning to outweigh the good. Every time I tried to establish myself there, I felt like I was falling short, like I wasn't really reaching the full potential of my dreams, of who I could be as a person, of what I was striving for. I became convinced that leaving was the only way forward. The final push that really got me over the edge came from an anxiety attack that really left me feeling like a shell of a person. Like, I felt extremely humiliated. I felt so small. I didn't feel like myself, or what was left of myself. And in that moment, or whatever clarity I had left, I decided I can't take any more of this, I'm leaving. That all came from like a crash out after encountering someone who had made me feel this way, who had really put me in a state of insecurity, and I had yet to work through that. And my psychotic way of dealing with that was, I need to get out. I cannot see this man anymore. I need to pursuing a master's degree felt like the noble thing to do, the right thing to do. It felt like redemption. Like, yes, I am someone who's experiencing all of these terrible things in this moment now, but if I could do just this one thing, I can prove to everyone around me, or to the person that really affected me, they were wrong, that I am capable of so much more, that I am this amazing person who's capable of achieving amazing things. In reality, it was just a decision born of desperation. So things were looking rough, but not terrible. I mean, at the time I was working 2 jobs, and I had this idea that, okay, I will work extra hard, I will save up, and this will help me fund my time abroad. I will be able to pay tuition, I will be able to get there and have the assistance of student aid as well in my back pocket. Things are looking rough, but not terrible. I can do this. And then I got laid off from my one job and things were now beginning to look rough. And this wasn't a situation where I could turn to my parents and ask for help. I was getting as much help as they could afford to give me, and that still wasn't enough because my mom at this point was having to take care of my dad, whose health was rapidly declining, and she had to step up as his primary carer. So much of the responsibility of figuring my situation out was on me. So I had the one job and I thought, okay, not great, but I can still make this work. Only they were cutting my hours dramatically. Every time I went into work, it felt like a humiliation ritual. It felt like they were pointing and laughing at me, saying, hee hee, ha ha, look at her, she's a fool. That is how it felt going into work. And this is a place where I just have thoughts and feelings about that place, but it is what it is. I can't think about it too much because they give me so much stress. Girl, it was not a good time to be me over there. What initially was meant to be me working, saving up, was now falling apart right before my eyes. It was such a rapid downturn. I was not expecting it. I didn't think that, the universe could just so quickly, but she's got jokes apparently. But I couldn't stop the plan. Even though I was at a point where I should have stopped the plan, I was so stubborn in my decision that I did not want to let go of this thing because it felt like my only way out. It felt like my only chance at upward mobility. It felt like the only thing I had going for me. And it was in that moment that I realized, oh, I am my father's daughter. We both share, my father and I, this particular stubbornness that prevents us from seeing the whole picture sometimes. Sometimes we get so honed in that we can't think of anything else but what is in front of us. And we hold this belief that if you push hard enough, if you do it hard enough, if you try hard enough, you will succeed. We are, in that sense, like sharks. We have to keep moving, otherwise we're gonna die. So despite everything rapidly falling apart around me, I decided to carry on. I decided to push forward. Before my studies, I traveled to Europe. I went to Italy and I got to see a Formula One race live for the first time. I was in Monza and it was such an amazing experience. I got to see Ferrari win. And as a Ferrari fan, you know it is rough out here for the girls. I visited Sweden and I got to see family that I had not seen since I was a baby. It was really cool to connect with cousins that I had never really met and to sort of build this new community around me. Things were looking up despite all of the hardship that it took to get to this point, all of the hard work, the blood, sweat, and tears, literally, to get to this point. So I had this belief, or maybe delusion, that despite it all, things were okay, that things would still be okay, that I would make it out of this just fine. Not necessarily unscathed, but at the very least, things were looking up. Then came the reality of studying abroad. Don't get me wrong, I am truly grateful that I had the opportunity to study abroad, to have the chance to pursue a master's degree and to go through that. But at the same time, I always wonder, did I have to go through it like that? Did it have to be so painful? Did it have to hurt so much? Why couldn't I have enjoyed more of the experience than I actually did? It was something both amazing, but also so exhausting. Like, even now, I still yearn to be back in Glasgow. Like, my goal at the end of the day is to be back in Glasgow. I want to live there more permanently, but there are certain roadblocks in my way, financial roadblocks, and familial things that are going on that are preventing me from really settling down in that capacity. There are things that I need to figure out before I get to that point. There is, not to get all academic on you, but there is this journal titled The Struggle of Giving Up Personal Goals. It is research focused on the impact of constant setbacks and what happens to an individual's physical and psychological well-being when they experience so many setbacks in the pursuit of a goal or an ambition that they've set for themselves. And I've been thinking a lot about that and what it means for me and for my goals and for my dreams. What do you do when the goal no longer seems like it's worth it? It's getting dark because the sun is setting. I only have so much daylight left, but let's get into it. In their research, Brandstater, Herman, Schuler describe this tension as an action crisis, a critical phase in goal striving closely related to issues of disengagement, conceptualized as a situation in which individuals have already invested a great deal into their goal, but suffer from repeated setbacks and or a substantial loss in the perceived desirability of the goal, and thus asking themselves whether to stop or go. And I think that rings very true for me right now and for all the things that I am going through. I wanted the degree because I believed it would redeem me somehow, that it would prove I was exceptional, that it would alter my circumstances, propel me into the life I'd imagined for years. From the start, everything was fraught. My student aid was late. I had to fight for proof of enrollment, only to be told that I should withdraw from my program because, like I said, my life is a psychological thriller. Nothing could ever be easy for the girl. I couldn't sustain myself because I couldn't find work, and things were beginning to fall apart all over again. I was losing sight of the goal, and while all of this was happening, my parents are also struggling back home. My father's health is rapidly declining. He, at that point, was immobile. When I had left, he was able to walk a little bit, and when I had come back home from my year abroad, he was fully immobile. He could not walk, he could not do anything without assistance. And this is someone who used to be sort of rambunctious in his mannerisms and the things that he's done. So seeing him go from this lively person, then receiving a dementia diagnosis and losing himself slowly in the beginning, and then all of a sudden it's just a rapid descent into this condition where he can't advocate for himself, he can't move, he can't do much of anything. And my mom is there, she is the primary carer, and she's not taking care of herself. And a lot of guilt started to erupt from this situation. I was all the way in Scotland, running away from my problems and leaving my mom to deal with a whole nother set of issues at home. And I felt so guilty because I needed a lot of financial help, I needed a lot of emotional help, I needed a lot of support. And I also knew that I could not expect much from my parents because of their circumstance as well. And it made me feel so guilty whenever my mom would tell me, like, it's okay, I'm proud of you. You've made it from kindergarten up until a master's degree. This is something to be proud of. And I just couldn't feel proud of myself. I felt extremely bad because I had put myself in this seemingly impossible situation where I was still struggling, I was still failing. I had received one of the worst grades in my life while I was studying abroad. I had received the worst feedback when I was studying abroad, and it had impacted me emotionally, psychologically. It made me think that I was an imposter, that I should not have been studying at all. I felt like I had taken someone else's place, like I did not belong there, despite the fact that I fought so hard to be there. Despite all of that, I felt this immense guilt because I should have also been home helping my mom support my dad. I should have been home to actually work hard, save up, and do all of these things to get my family in a safe, comfortable position. Instead, I'm all the way in Scotland, losing my mind while my mom is trying not to lose her mind.
There's no any way, there's no garden you see we have been living in. There's nothing. Everything revolves money, especially with the rent. That's why last time I was telling you, Aribo, if we could have waited this year, you went back and then get your certificate and then we see how to move, it would be okay. Because the condition of Dad, I can't even tell. Either he never saved money. If he saved money and the money is somewhere helping other people, that is all gone by the wind. I cannot even claim it even before when he was still healthy. He never wanted me to know anything. The man is dead and dead with everything he has been doing. So my prayer for you, understand that this country, Ribo, needs money. If you can save, if you can work, it's very stressful, but don't put stress to be like something you always talk about. Definitely you'll get tired. Because you get tired and you rest, that is one way. Because you never know which company is going to keep you for 4 or 5 years. That is unpredictable. You see, my job has been cut short because of the sickness. My retirement is never there. It's not my age yet to file for retirement. I'm being denied for 2 years since Daddy got sick. They couldn't give me. One time, the year 2023, my income was high. They denied me. I filed for the 2024. That's why that paper, they have to start working on it. I was just on the red line. Otherwise, if it had passed this way, $5, they would have said no to me.
I have all of these conflicting feelings about it because I've made wonderful friends and I've discovered new places and new things about myself, and this is something that I will treasure and hold dear forever. Like, I still want to go back to Glasgow. Like, my goal, my end goal is to one day be living in the city in a penthouse. Like, the goal is to one day work so hard to establish myself, to actually succeed, and to be living in this place where I can truly, genuinely be happy, support myself, support my family, and be in a place of solace. That is something that I'm still striving for, and it's just hard to fully reconcile when I have a lot of these hard feelings for the process, for the journey, because I nearly dropped out. I am drowning in debt, and if God wills it, I will graduate late. Now that that part of my life is over, I keep asking myself, what's next? What do I do? Because I still have this dream of being back in Glasgow, of living it up in my penthouse, of, you know, being with my friends, and we're out and we're having a wonderful time, and I am finally financially stable. I am working a job that I enjoy. I am in a creative industry of some kind. I am working towards something that feels bigger than myself and fulfills me. But right now, I can't even think about that because I have to really discipline myself and not only take care of myself here, but also help take care of my mom, help her take care of my dad. It's been a rough go at things. Being back home has really exposed a lot of the fractures in the foundation that I chose to ignore. I am now working on really rebuilding that, especially with my mom, and like trying to figure everything out now that we've moved, now that we're in a new home, and what life is going to look like moving forward. Our current plan is to ensure that my dad receives the care that he needs, especially long-term care, especially towards the end of his life, because that is something that we have to think about now. Like, it's uncomfortable, but unfortunately that is, I think, just the state of things, and that is how we are going to best prepare, you know, finally sitting down with each other and having these hard discussions of like, okay, what does life look like? So yeah, although right now I am, for the most part, giving up on my dreams of being in Glasgow, of living this independent main character life in Scotland, in the UK. I think letting go is the best way to make space for a life that I actually have some control over. Sometimes you fail and you fail again and you fail hard, but there's always the opportunity to begin again and to see daylight break. Yeah, sometimes life is scary and things don't turn out the way that you expect them to and you almost drop out of uni, but I would rather begin again than give up on my dreams entirely.